Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, you're very welcome. I'm Jane and my husband Mike does everything behind the camera. We're British early retirees. We have no debt. We've paid off the mortgage and we live a thrifty, frugal and money-saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Sunday we share an aspect of our private life with you. And today I'm going to be sharing my private thoughts and personal advice with you, because I'm going to answer your questions about how you can save money or generally about money matters. I've got them here, I've got them ready, so let's get going. First question comes from Irish Girl. Hi Jane and Mike, would love a video covering the advice you would give to your children in the current financial environment in regards to debt, mortgage and savings. I would say that to anybody. What advice would I give to anybody? One, make sure that you're maximizing your income. Are you working all the hours that you can physically bear to do? Are you earning as much money as you can physically bear to do? Secondly, are you living as cheaply as you can possibly bear? And thirdly, are you saving as much money as possible? Whether that's for a new item for your house, a down payment, something that you need, doesn't matter what it is, are you saving for it? And my advice to anybody is never, ever, ever, ever use debt. If you can't afford to pay for it outright, other than a mortgage, you can't afford it. Next question comes from Kim McCarthy. What routines should you do with every paycheck? Kim says every week, so whether you are paid weekly, fortnightly or monthly, your budget should reflect that. So the first thing you need to do with every payday is to check that you have written your budget for the next period of time between that and your next paycheck. So are you putting aside to begin with at least 10% into long-term savings? Are you putting aside a nominal amount of money for your next vehicle, bicycle, train pass, however you need to travel? Have you sorted out all of your sinking funds? That means all the bills that you've got coming up over the year. Have you totaled them for the entire year? And then have you divided those by 12 and saved 1/12 of that amount in that paycheck? That's if you get paid monthly. It could be 1/52nd if you paid every single week. Most people are paid monthly these days. So that's that bit. Then the next bit of it is, have you sorted out all of your fixed bills and expenses? And the last bit, have you allocated a normal amount of money that is going to go into your discretionary spending? The amount of money that is yours and to spend. And with that, have you decided what you're going to do with it? The next question comes from Reds Are Trouble. Would you spend saved money on a payoff debt or a debt payoff if it wasn't an emergency? Okay, here's our take on this. When we were in debt and we were using the debt snowball method mainly, we paid off the smallest debt first, and then when we paid that off, we took that amount, we added it to the next one, and the next one. Okay. We saved an emergency fund, but we didn't do any more saving or any more spending on anything until we had paid off our debts. And we took 2 years and 4 months to pay off our debt. In that time, we didn't buy anything. We didn't go anywhere. We bought food. We paid the bills. That was that. If the central heating boiler broke down, we went without heating. We just didn't spend money. So my advice would be, if you have got savings, you need to have a nominal amount of money in there for your emergency savings fund, and that is up to you. And the rest of it I would use to pay off debt. but that's what I would do. You can choose differently. You may be at the stage where you are paying off debt, but you also want to have small sinking funds. For example, you have children, so you need a sinking fund for their school uniform. You need a sinking fund for Christmas. You need a sinking fund if you have a car for car repairs. I consider those sinking funds to be bills and not just total overall savings. I hope I explained that. The next question comes from LBC1232. How do I cultivate your level of discipline as it pertains to saving money and being frugal? It seems you are so good at differentiating actual wants versus needs. Okay, the first piece of advice I've got on that is make sure that you are budgeting a unique budget every single month and that you set up those savings to begin with. Whether you save 5%, whether you build it up to 10%, whatever it is, treat that savings as a bill. It's not your money. It is future use money, something that the house or the car or the children or something needs in the future. Then get your sinking funds set up for your bills for this year. I hope you hear me over this wind. That's a bit of a gust of wind. I'll just let that blow a moment. So where was I before I was interrupted by weather? Get your budget set up. Get your savings set up. Treat your savings as a bill. Sort out your sinking funds, your short-term savings for the year. How much are you going to save for a trip? How much are you going to save for clothes? How much are you going to save for the pet care? All of those things you need to divide. How much are you going to save up for heating oil? How much are you going to save up for your air conditioning to be serviced or your central heating to be conditioned? Central heating to be serviced, for example. Get those things sorted out and treat those short-term savings, long-term savings, all of those things as bills. And the other part of this is you track it. So every month when a direct debit goes out for my electricity bill or for our mobile phones, I tick that off on our budget. When I buy pet food, tick it off on the budget. Buy car fuel, tick it off on the budget. And it's a very physical act of processing how much money we've got in, how much money has gone out. And remember, when you're going to fill up the car with fuel, I've got €70 a month for car fuel. So I'm there and I'm literally getting out the car going €70, €70, €70, and it gets to the 69 point few cents, and I'm literally stopping the pump so it doesn't go over €70. When I'm going to the supermarket with my €200 a month each week, I'm going €50. And all of those things, I'm checking it. And then I get indoors and every time they ask me, do you want a receipt? Yes, I do. And I keep all of the receipts. The other thing to do to stay frugal and to keep this in your mindset is to check not just your budget, but your bank statements. Make sure that everything that should go out has gone out and everything that should be coming in is coming in. And hi, LBC. I thought I'd really wrap up your question when you talk about, us being disciplined and having a well-defined version of needs and wants. I think for me, staying disciplined is all about the systems that we use within our budgeting, of recording everything each month and tracking it. Going to our budget each month when we have a proper, big, full-on budget meeting, we are consciously reminding ourselves of the money we've got and the money we're going to spend this month, and the money that we've got at the moment isn't very much. So it's really important for us to keep on tracking it. Next question comes from, I think this is Orhi Jaskale. Hello, how much of your yearly clothing budget did you spend so far, and do you have any planned purchases? I have so far spent all of it, all but a few euros. I bought a pair of walking sandals. I bought a lightweight, waterproof, what I would call rain jacket. I bought 2 pairs of jeans, 2 t-shirts, 1 shirt, and one bra. That's pretty much all of it. I haven't got any plans for any more clothes at all this year. But, you know, clothes are expensive. Most of my clothes this year I bought from the walking shoes, and the jacket I have bought from Decathlon here in France. The clothing I bought from Marks and Spencer's, marksandSpencers.fr, because they supply to France. And the underwear I bought from Miss Mary of Sweden. The next question I've got here from Monique McDonald in Australia. How do I save for future expenses a whole year ahead from scratch? Really struggling to work it out. I know you add it all up and divide by 12, but the savings must start somewhere in the year. Okay, if you are starting sinking funds from nowhere, you just have to work out exactly what your whole year's expenses are going to be. So I work out the dogs are going to have their haircut every 2 months. It's €100 a time. That's 600 for the year. If I was going to save a lump sum for haircuts, I would say that our haircuts cost me €30 a year. And Mike has his haircuts 3 times as many, so he will be €90 a year. So I know we're saving 120 a year for haircuts. So you have to sit down and work out how much each of those are going to be. And you won't get it right at the beginning. You will develop that. You will miss things out. 1 year on my sinking funds, I completely left out that we had to save up for and pay for the chimneys to be swept. So you won't get it right all of the time, but you've just got to sit there and think, I've got Christmas. How much can we afford to budget for Christmas? What's the amount we are going to decide to spend on each person for Christmas? Are you going to decide on $10 per person or $20 per person? And then you decide who are you going to buy for and how much are you going to spend on each of them? And that's how you work out for each of it. If you've got a car to be serviced, you can phone up your car dealership and say, I've got this car this year, how much is the service? And then you can look back at previous bills and think, like, how much did a part in the past cost? Or if you think something's going to go wrong with your car, or you think something's looking a bit suspicious, you can take it to the garage and say, could you give me a quotation in writing of how much this would cost to get fixed? And then you can choose when you get it done. And then you can choose how much you're going to save each month. I really hope that makes sense. You need to find out everything that you pay in the year, work out how much that is going to cost you. And that's going to take you time. Look back through previous bank statements, go online, check it all out. And then obviously check out, you think to yourself, well, if I get that done in 2 years' time, I'm going to add on 25% to that cost, because that is how much it might go up by. The next one, how do you choose the financial institution that meets your needs, or are the options in France limited to meet best goals? Should long-term savings be held in as cash, certificates or deposit, money markets, and so on? Thank you. Hi, Ivana. We just use our local bank. We've got our long-term savings and our car savings going into a savings account that gives us the best interest that we can get. The rest of our accounts, such as our short-term savings, because the money's going in and out all of the time, we leave it in like a secondary current account. We have another current account. We keep our emergency fund in, if I can explain this well, in the bottom of our long-term savings. So if you imagine it's a layer, our emergency fund stays there all of the time. Our long-term savings gets put on top of it. And it means there's always an amount of money in there all of the time, accruing interest. That's just what works for us. The next question comes from Wavy Jenny. It says, love your channel. Would you ever consider supplementing your income by selling something you create as a hobby, like your quilting, with paid sponsorships from the YouTube channel or via other means? Hi Jenny, we have done plenty of sponsorship deals in the past on the channel. We've taken some mainly goods that we've reviewed, and we've only taken things that we would use or we find useful or would be useful to people that we would show them. So we've had some really good sponsorships in the past from people like All Powers and Affery. Those were really, really useful. We've had a couple of lighting companies who've given us lights that I've used when sewing. And I've had paid sponsorships where they've paid me to show me using them. I would say that most YouTube channels at the moment are down on income because we are down on sponsorship deals. And as a frugal channel, I am very, very picky about anybody whose product I would have on the channel. It would have to be something useful, good quality, that lasts, that would save us money. So I'm pretty picky about that. I don't want to sell anything on the channel that's a whole set of different tax regimes here in France. I would have to register as a maker and a seller instead of a professional liberal, which is the regime we are under as YouTubers. Lemon Teapot, this is a really good question. How would you deal with requests to donate to colleague birthdays, leaving gifts, and requests for sponsorships there too? Okay, Mike and I both worked in environments where we worked with a lot of staff, and we had our own personal rules. So number one would be, do I actually work with this person? Do I actually even know them? Secondly, not only do I work with them, but do I work in close proximity with them? So if I'm going into work every day, I'm dealing with reception every day, I'm dealing with the ladies in the office every day, they're really helpful for me, they liaise with parents, they do all of those things on a very regular basis, then I would choose, yes, I would donate to maybe their leaving present, not a birthday present. I would never give to birthday presents. I think that gets too much. A leaving present, if they've been there a while, if they are retiring, or they've been off on long-term sick, those type of things. But I would be picky and choosy. And when it comes to fundraising, that would be exactly the same. Is it a colleague I work with all the time? So as a teacher, if I had a teaching assistant and I worked with them every day and they were doing the Race for Life and they said, would you sponsor me? Yes, I would sponsor them. But I'd never give very much because there's always more people to give to. So I used to sort of pick a nominal amount of money. And my nominal amount of money was always £5. So if there was a whip round and it was somebody's retirement due coming up, and I knew them and I worked with them, they'd get £5. If it was somebody I worked with and I got on with them really well and they wanted me to sponsor them, I would give them £5. So I would be fair and I would choose that amount of money in advance at the beginning of the year and think, right, this year, the amount of money I'm going to give is going to be £5. The next question I've got here is from Mirth171. What do you think of children at home when they are 18 and above and they are still studying? Okay, Mirth, number one, they are not children. They are legal adults. And if they are studying and still living at home, and they need, as if they were working or anything else, they need to pull their weight. So if they are at home and they are one of 3 adults in the house or one of 4 adults in the house, they do 1/3 or 1/4 of all the work needed in that house. They help out with everything. They help out with the cooking. They help out with the cleaning. They help out with the gardening. They help out with all of it. They are fully grown adults. Second part to that, as fully fledged adults who are studying, they will not be studying 24/7. So they need to get some kind of a small part-time job, shift in a pub one night a week, shift in the supermarket one night a week, working after college, anything like that. And anything that they need for themselves when it comes to whether they want new clothes, whether they want to go down the pub, whether they want to go on a trip away with their mates, that is their bill. They are not children. They have chosen the route of further education. It's up to them. It is up to them. So one, they contribute to the household as adults. Secondly, they want spending money. They earn it. I'm not suggesting that somebody who's in full-time education can contribute towards the bills, but they can certainly contribute in the efforts that they would make to be part of the household and pull their weight. Another question from Wavy Jenny. Do you ever pay a higher amount for a product in the knowledge or hope that will be for better quality or last longer? If so, what types of products do you do this for? Wavy Jenny, I'm not somebody who can afford to be fussy. Just waiting for a car to go by now. It always happens, doesn't it? I've got to that time of day, 5 o'clock, we're going home from work. So we've never had enough money to be fussy. So we've always bought the best quality that we can afford for our budget. I try and buy clothing from places like Marks and Spencer's. It's the best quality I can afford. When it comes to food, for example, when it comes to things like coffee, I will buy the supermarket's own brand. If I hated it, I wouldn't, but I don't mind it. I buy the supermarket's own brand products for most things. I'm not a brand person. When it comes to things for around the house, if I can buy something good quality but second hand, I would. So I'm just going to rephrase that, I suppose. We buy the best quality that we can afford. Final question has come from Trust But Verify. What resources, books, videos, podcasts have you used to help you with your frugal and budgeting journey that you would recommend to share with friends who are struggling to manage their money? If you are in the UK and you're trying to save up for retirement or you're looking into pensions, I would go to the YouTube channel Mindful Money. He is a very, very noteworthy pensions advisor. I would also look at Martin Lewis and all of his financial advice, especially on banking, savings, ISAs. That's where I direct family members who do not have direct benefit pensions, but are having to make their own arrangements for their own pensions in the future. That's the two places that I am advising them to go. I think there's some very good people from the past who I remember watching, like Alvin Hall, Your Money or Your Life. I particularly am a reasonable fan of all the Dave Ramsey podcasts that you can listen to on YouTube with his radio shows. You might not like his attitude, you might not like his delivery or his style, but I've never argued with anything that he's said. So those are three people that I can particularly recommend. Thank you so much for all of your questions. Thank you so much for all of your comments on previous videos. Thank you massively for everybody who supports the channel by hitting the thumbs up button. And if you haven't hit it, please, please, please hit it. It is so important for the video and the algorithm and getting us out there. Thanks to everybody who lets some or one or two or maybe the occasional advert to roll, as that's what generates our income. We'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.